So again, just a quick reminder, there are some questions. We've added some to the pile from the floor, and I guess just for a matter of trivia, it's seeing Brian's won a prize tonight. Ryan Foster, you have the most questions that people want to ask, so from the floor. So we'll get a gift certificate or something for both of you, and maybe you can go out for dinner together after the election. How does that sound? Okay, Brian, this was submitted by email, and it's almost as long as the list of candidates, so I will read it. We have 2 pristine beaches, which are valuable assets for our family and tourist industry, but they are under constant attack by this council by selling too many vendor permits, plus a continual effort to promote a 40-plus slip day moorage facility by the Sicamous, even though the majority of citizens oppose this use. Okay, that's editorial, I guess. How will you protect and curtail further commercial use of our beaches so they can be preserved for safe swimming areas for families and tourists if you're elected?
Thanks, James. And incidentally, I don't know why it is or how it could be that my name could come up first twice. That's probably not happened in my life, but I appreciate it. I have talked about a formalized, structured, consistent planning process that involves the people of this city. And that is the only way that I can see that we are going to protect places like our beaches. These are the gems that of this part of the world. They're the gems of every part of the world. And that's part of the reason that we have people here on a full-time basis, and it's also part of the reason that people come here seasonally. And they are absolutely critical to the future. They must remain in public hands as much as possible. If necessary, parts of them should be repurchased to be held in public hands. They must be publicly managed. These, for example, the Sicamous area, when I look at the proposed plan...
Oh, sorry, your time's up. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I realize some of these questions do require probably 5 or 6 minute answers, but lots of great thoughts in those 60 seconds by everyone. Lynn Kelsey, it's your turn. As someone who attends nearly every city council meeting, do you believe that the past mayors and councilors over the past 3 years are indeed, quote, open and transparent?
As somebody who attends many meetings, I feel there's a lot of things that have not been open and transparent. I also feel that there are some of our councillors that are really excellent about asking for more information and seeking more information and doing that. It's one of the things that I want to do is make sure that I seek the information, make sure it's open and transparent. The decisions that are in camera should be for land, labor, and legal, and that's what belongs in camera. Everything else, the citizens of this city deserve to have the knowledge about what's going on, what their city council is doing, and be able to give the feedback and the information they want before major decisions are made. Thank you.
Thank you. Helena Conans, you were born, raised, and educated in the United States and have said in press interviews that you're a supporter of the Republican Party. Do you share the same political ideologies of the most recent Republican president, George W. Bush?
First of all, actually, I've never been a member of the Republican Party. I've always been a member of the Democrat Party. But in the United States, typically you can vote both ways. So I have voted Republican before. I'm admitting to that, but I mostly have voted Democrat. But no, I'm George Bush. I mean, the best thing that ever happened to any American that's living abroad is Obama becoming president, because we didn't have to, hide at parties. But I want to say that I became a Canadian 10 years ago, and I have a choice whether to live in the United States or Canada, and I chose to live in the best country in the world, and that is Canada.
Thank you. Okay. David Coronets, and this was submitted by email, and they specifically wanted to ask you this because they like your pointy hat that you wear at the market. So, So this question's for you. Do you think land within Penticton city limits should ever be removed from the agricultural land reserve for any non-farm public use, similar to what's happened in Summerland over the last year?
No, I do not. The land that's set aside for agriculture should remain that way, and it shouldn't be encroached on because we need more space to build. I mean, there's other options. We can build up, we can do other things, but you need to be able to eat, and without the land, you can't grow the food. Okay, we don't have to import all our food. So I say no, it needs to be preserved. Thank you.
Okay, I'm looking through random questions. So Brent Madsen, here is a downtown question for you.
Go.
Wouldn't enforcements of a 30-kilometer speed zone downtown be an alternate solution to two-laning Main Street? Same question. Okay,
That's
we'll
random?
drop that. We'll drop that. Okay. Okay, here's a better question then for you from the floor, because we don't want to repeat, I guess, we got the
Thank
30,
you.
so I apologize. So here's an interesting question for you, Brent. Are you in favor of a full-time deputy mayor? At present, council rotates it and gives everyone a turn at it. Would you like to see somebody appointed to that position?
No, I'd much prefer to see the way it is right now with a rotation. I think it gives everybody a chance to sit in the seat. It also gives the general population a chance to see how up-and-comers would work out in that situation. So I say keep it as is and go 30 kilometers an hour.
Thank you. Andre Martin, your campaign literature states you are not in favor of addressing the well-known issue of staff leadership at City Hall. How then do you rationalize the number of mistakes made and the lawsuits engaged in since 2011?
What I said was I don't want to question the leadership of City Hall during the campaign period. I believe that does need to be dealt with in behind closed doors. I think we'd be setting ourselves up for any kind of libel suits or constructive dismissal by commenting anything like that about the senior staff at City Hall. Business doesn't talk about their leadership out in the public, and I don't think we should either. This is about electing a new council to take that message forward and do our own research, find out what's been done, why those decisions were made the way they were, and who actually made them before we pass judgment on all of these mistakes. We can call them mistakes or issues that have come up, but there may be some other reasons why those have happened. Thank you.
Thanks. Doug Maxwell, a question from the floor. How many people are you aware of currently experiencing homelessness or adverse poverty in Penticton? And if so, what could council do about it if you were elected?
Well, I think we're all only a paycheck or two from that situation, so we have to be really careful. And everybody's got a different story and why they got there. But I think that there's should be some money available to some of the service groups in town that have done in the past and are very, very good at building and managing apartments for low income and homelessness. Is the Kinsman or the Kiwanis has a housing project on Van Horn and another one on Norton or Abbott Street, and they do a very good job at that. And I think we should let them do that kind of work, and we should support them financially and morally. Thank you.
Thank you. Janine Nicholas, the question is, if job creation is part of your platform, what specifically do you intend to do if elected?
I know immediately right now as a sole proprietor and with my platform, a part of it being youth, I see the opportunities, and the number one thing working in the employment field is we're pushing people ahead to get a job, but they don't even have the basic life skills. They need to learn. First, they're worrying about a place to sleep, food to eat. where they're going to be the next day. If we work with basic, simple life skills, time management, responsibility, accountability, then job creation will come from that. I've seen it in the employment field with not just the youth, all ages. The times have changed, technology. So if we can encourage and support people with that basic life skills and a mentorship program, as I said earlier, we have a lot of invested wealth here. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Noonan, this question was emailed to me, so again, it will be fairly lengthy, so bear with me. How do you plan to provide fair and equal economic incentives to existing businesses to ensure they have the same economic advantages as a new business entering one of the economic incentive zones? There are businesses that have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in upgrades, renovations, and wages before the economic incentive program existed. These existing businesses must now compete with businesses that will have a huge tax exemption. What is your view on this issue?
Okay, this actually, this is not a strange question to me. I've been asked something along this lines once before. Everybody gets so caught up in trying to create something new, bring something new, and they forget about it's the details. I keep saying it, the devil's in the details. So you bring in somebody new, you give him tax breaks, you give him cuts on his things, the monies he has to put down to start up, and then the other people in similar industries suffer. And you've given them an unfair leg up. I'm from the meat business originally, and we saw this over and over and over, and it put us at a terrible disadvantage. The problem is that we need to say, this is what the city needs, and this is what we will put the incentives for. If somebody comes and takes it, fine. But we've got to stop saying, oh, let's change the map so that we can put an incentive here for these people that are already wanting to come anyway, and just tying down a business that was already coming. We need to do a little better planning on what the city wants, and not just somebody coming and saying, I'll come for money.
Thank you. Max Picton, a question specifically from you from the floor. Would you commit to making Penticton a green community?
I very much believe in making Penticton a green community. I think a perfect example of that is our current development down on the beach. We've used all sustainable building products. We've invested into some of the most efficient technology out there as far as heating and cooling. We actually heat and cool the entire resort for less than 70 amps of power. I don't think that there's an accommodator in town that could come even near that. So I very do much believe in green. It's the future of the world and where we need to be to ensure that it's a great place for us and our children.
Thank you. Vic Powell, you have another military question. Penticton City Hall declined allowing a memorial for Captain Jonathan Snyder to be erected in the city park. It was later relocated on private property here at the lakeside. Did you agree with the decision made by council to not honor a fallen soldier from the Afghanistan mission?
No, I disagree with them not honoring any soldier that's passed away. You take a look at these two young men that were killed this last week. They're honored right across Canada. Why wouldn't Penticton honor a boy from their own town who was in a war? Afghanistan was a war. It was a terrible war. Yes, they should honor and respect, the same as a war memorial. Thank you.
Katie Robinson, you are a self-professed supporter of the arts in this community. Please state the three most recent arts and cultures events that you attended in the community prior to September 1st, when the campaign officially began.
Alrighty. Well, I'm the liaison to the Okanagan Symphony. I attended one of their performances. I also went to the Shatford Center. I was at the Jazz Festival. Gosh, I'd have to start looking at my itinerary here, but my involvement in the arts goes all the way back to Eva Cleland in the Lear House on Manor Park. So I find it a little difficult that anybody thinks that I'm not part of the arts. I'm just trying to think. I've been a firm supporter, as all of council was, in our brand new Performing Arts Center on Ellis Street, amongst others, and I supported SOPAC as well. Thank you.
Okay, Daryl Sanders, your platform is basically on helping keeping young people at home and creating jobs for our youth. How does one achieve that in such economic turmoil, tumultuous times?
Well, I feel that there's numerous events that could take place in Penticton, different festivals that we have put forward, such as Boonstock. There is jobs that people can attain in those industries, whether it be by vendors or other organization in the programs. And if we can keep people here and have more events such as that, we should be able to create more jobs.
Okay, thank you. And Tariq, this was specially penned for you, and so again, it's along the same lines of the question that was asked of Daryl. What kind of businesses and employers would you plan to attract to Penticton?
I specialize in technology. I've been well connected, and I do intend to make it a tech hub like Kelowna, but rather make it a sophisticated tech hub for Penticton. We can do that because we have lots of entrepreneurial technology companies, not in Canada, but outside of Canada, who are willing to come here. They have good money, they want to be in Canada, and they want to penetrate into the Canadian market. We can do that, and I do intend to talk to them whether I get elected or not elected. It is one of my responsibility, I feel, that I should do that and reach out to others to bring more economy, more jobs, and integrity.
Thank you. Judy Sentes, what do you hope to accomplish if re-elected over the next 4 years that you haven't been able to accomplish in the 6 previous years that you were on council?
Well, I think the questions facing the council that will be elected November 15th are many times the same questions that faced the council of 2008 and 2011. I think we've made some gains for sure, but I don't think we've reached our potential. And so I think the work continues. It must go on. The topics that are foremost in people's minds tell us that we haven't achieved everything yet. So my goal would be, if elected, to work ever harder to attain the goals that people want. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah Slater, you got it in random here. Did you agree with the City of Penticton's legal action against Elvina Slump, and furthermore, its unwillingness to disclose the amount that it would cost to the taxpayers? Or did you agree with the mayor on the Work Safe BC policy?
Which one am I speaking for? I don't.
How did you feel about that issue?
Well, Elvina Slump, I think that was terrible. It's a freedom of speech issue. I write to the letter of the editor, and I feel that our opinions are valued, and we should be able to say what we think. On the other issue, I'll have to get back to you on that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Campbell Watt is up now. Did you agree with Council's decision to end a long-standing relationship with Ironman and instead bring in Challenge Family, a brand North Americans were unfamiliar with, which lost directly and indirectly more than $400,000 in its first year of operation? If given the opportunity, would you welcome Ironman back should that door open?
The question of whether I agree or not is a tough one to answer because we're looking at it 2 years in history. So do I agree with it? No. Would I welcome Ironman back? Yes, I would. I would welcome them back, and I think they were a tremendous asset to our city. I think Challenge, when it was accepted by the city, was under the pretense that it was going to be Ironman, and clearly looking back now, it wasn't. So I think we have room in our community to have both.
Thank you. I'll pass the mic down to Steve. Okay, Steve Boltby, from the floor randomly, what are your ideas on developing partnerships between the city, the business community, and our arts and culture group to better market our cultural assets?
Well, I think the South Okanagan Event Center has been a good start. We have an art gallery, and I think it's been well run. And I think what the past councils have done on that level is good. We're talking about a fusion between art and business. And that doesn't include Boonstock. So I'm for festivals and I'm for young people, but Boonstock's not it.
Okay. Thank you. Pass the mic down to Patrick. Okay, Patrick, as someone active in cycling and soccer, does Penticton have adequate athletic facilities for our families and children, in your opinion?
On the cycling side, the BMX track needs more land. They need to expand. Nationals in BMX brings a lot of people in from Washington, Alberta, and BC. There can be more cycling events in this town. It's a great facility. I've seen a lot of really good criteriums downtown, and criteriums are what bring people down to watch. And you can get some top North American and Canadian riders and Mexican riders in the criteriums to come up here, and that'd bring a lot of money in. On the football front, what the city has done, what PFC has done, and what the Penticton Soccer Club has done, they're becoming world renowned right now. We're getting people that want to come out here and see what the facility that we have. We just had a gentleman or a group here doing a coaches thing. And
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. And Paula Catani, this question is from the floor, I guess, in response to your opening address. What would you do with the packing houses if you brought them back, given the huge reduction of orchards and the fruit they produced?
I'm just saying we have to grow the fruit. The wine industry, if you think about it, it's a wonderful idea, but if we can't ship this wine out and we're paying twice as much in the stores for a bottle of wine that we are getting from France, what good is this industry if we can't ship it out? We've been known for the fruit. That's what we're known for. We're known for peach festivals and apple blossom festivals. Why would we change it now? Why would we go just directly to the only industry of wine? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Thank you. And Don Dumino, your question is just Steve sort of answered, but it is on Boonstock. Are you in favor of this event, even though it had tons of security problems and problems obtaining a liquor license?
I did respond to that question in the newspaper. I'm in favor of events like Boonstock. I think it was a learning experience for Penticton. And moving forward, what we've learned, I believe, could make future events like Boonstock more successful, even financially. And so hopefully what happened in the past can be a tremendous experience to move forward with, if it's another Boonstock or a similar event, in order to obviously encourage that type of event to, happen in Penticton, because of there was a lot of business that was generated from Boonstock as well. So with that said, there is a way, I believe, to make that type of event successful in Penticton.
Thank you. Ryan Foster from the floor. You talk a lot about the environment and quality of life issues. Question is, how will you fit in with the council, and what do you bring to the table when a lot of the population seems to be more focused on growth, jobs, and tourism?
We're always going to be focused on those three things, but there's certain global uncertainty today that wasn't necessarily the case a decade ago. Food prices predicted to rise within a year by 34% by a study commissioned by Van City Credit Union. And food prices have already been rising for a number of years. The truth is that it doesn't take complicated solutions coming down from bigger, more distant, and less accountable governments. We have everything that we need right here on the local level to make sure that we have a resilient community. And that's where I stand out, actually. It's in terms of my focus on building a resilient community that's able to take care of the people that live in it, regardless of what's going on in the global or national economy, regardless of what politician is sitting on, the chair and the rotating deck chairs of the Titanic, or regardless of even climatic shifts that may be taking place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary Grattan, as a resident of Corey Place, you've stressed publicly recently the need for an upgrade of your street. If elected, how do you propose finding available funds for infrastructure in our community? Would that be through taxation or through cutting services?
Thank you, James. I'm not a big fan of cutting services, but I am a big fan of increased prosperity. And I think that if we can make every possible effort by applying great levels of common sense to going forward in this fabulous place that we live in with regards to creating a more prosperous business community, will benefit every single person living in Penticton. You really can't do much of anything without prosperity simply because you can't afford to fix the streets. You can't afford to hire proper levels of medical care and firefighters. You can't afford the trickle-down effect that will benefit the homeless people, because there is no trickle-down effect if there's nothing up top to trickle down. So it's really and truly all about sensible, smart growth and economic development that will eventually benefit the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Henningsen, overall, do you feel the Penticton is a safe community where our women and children can feel safe walking down the streets at night?
Overall, I feel Penticton is a fairly safe community, although late in the evening I don't see too many people around it. A lot of places close up pretty early. I know that the bus system shuts down early too. If you're out for an evening's event, such as Oktoberfest or any kind of event, a lot of times it's tough to get back home unless you got an extra $30 in your pocket for a taxi. So the price adds up on that. So sometimes not everybody can afford that. It'd be nice to have a better transit system too. But overall, I feel it's a fairly safe community. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to take a 60-second break and do it one more time.